Hannah Cole smashed the empty money box against the wall. $47. That's all she had. $300 due by Friday, or Martha would throw her out of the boarding house her dead husband built with his own 2 hands. She pressed her fist against her thigh where the old break throbbed in the July heat. The limp that made children point. The limp that made men look the other way. But when Elijah Thornton walked into that church on Sunday morning, he didn't look away. He looked straight at her. And what he did next, nobody saw coming. Stay with me until the end. Comment your city. I want to see how far this story travels. Hannah was up before the sun, couldn't sleep. Hadn't slept right in 3 years, not since the wagon flipped and William's neck snapped and her leg shattered into pieces the doctor said would never heal proper. She limped to the kitchen. The floorboards burned under her feet. Dry Creek in July was hell's front porch, and this summer was the worst anyone could remember. "You're up." Hannah spun around. Martha stood in the doorway, arms crossed, mouth set in that thin line Hannah knew too well. "Couldn't sleep." "Guilty conscience will do that." Hannah reached for the coffee pot. Didn't answer. 3 years of this. 3 years of blame and bitterness and that cold, dead look in Martha's eyes. "Payments due Friday," Martha said. "I know." $300. "I said I know. My William worked 20 years for this place." Martha stepped closer. 20 years. And you're gonna lose it in 3. Hannah's hand tightened on the pot. "I ain't losing nothing." "With what money?" Martha laughed sharp and ugly. "The drunk upstairs ain't paid in a month. Mrs. Patterson left. Nobody's coming to Dry Creek in summer, Hannah. Nobody with sense." "I'll figure something out." "That's what you always say." Martha's eyes dropped to Hannah's leg. "Look at you, limping around like a lame horse. Who's gonna help you? Who's gonna want a crippled widow with nothing but debt and bad luck?" Hannah set down the pot, turned to face her mother-in-law. "I survived a wagon crash that killed your son. I survived 3 years of you blaming me for it. I survived this whole damn town whispering behind my back." Her voice didn't shake. "I reckon I'll survive this too." Martha's face went red. "You got a smart mouth." "I got a mouth that speaks truth. There's a difference." Martha left. Her footsteps echoed through the empty house. Hannah stood alone in the hot kitchen and counted her money again. Same as before. Not enough. Never enough. First Methodist Church sat at the end of Main Street, paint-peeling steeple crooked from last year's tornado. Hannah got there early, sat in the back pew where she always sat, kept her head down like she always did. The limp was bad today. The heat made it worse. Every step felt like a knife twisting in her thigh. "Mrs. Cole." She looked up. Reverend Matthews stood in the aisle, hat in his hands. "Reverend." "Heard about the mortgage trouble." He lowered his voice. "Church can spare a little if you need." "I appreciate it, but no. Pride's a sin, Mrs. Cole. So's giving up. I ain't done that yet." He nodded slow and moved on. The church filled up quick. Farmers and ranchers' wives and their Sunday best children squirming in the heat. Hannah felt their eyes on her, heard their whispers like wasps buzzing. Look at her, sitting alone again. Can barely walk, poor thing. Martha says she won't last the month. Pretty once, wasn't she, before the accident? Hannah kept her eyes forward. She'd learned a long time ago that showing pain just made folks hit harder. Then Catherine Price walked in. Golden hair piled high. Blue silk dress that cost more than Hannah made in a year. Skin like cream, not a mark on it. The banker's widow, they called her. The one every man in town wanted and every woman envied. Catherine's eyes swept the room. Found Hannah in the back. Lingered just long enough to say what words didn't need to. "You're nothing. I'm everything." Hannah looked away. The service started. Reverend Matthews talked about trials and tribulations, about faith in hard times. Hannah let the words wash over her without listening. $300. 4 days. No way out. Then the door banged open. Every head turned. Elijah Thornton stood in the doorway. Tall, broad, dark hair going gray at the temples. Eyes like flint sharp and unreadable. Behind him, his daughter Lillian. 16, dark-haired with a face set in permanent anger. And behind them, Rufus Washington, Thornton's foreman, a black man with white hair and a straight back wearing his Sunday suit like armor. The church went dead quiet. "Mr. Thornton." Reverend Matthews recovered first. "Welcome. Please come in. Come." Thornton walked down the aisle. Didn't hurry. Didn't apologize for being late. Walked like a man who owned the ground under his feet. Which he mostly did. Biggest spread in 3 counties. More cattle than anyone could count. More money than anyone could spend. Catherine Price sat up straighter. Her smile turned bright as a new penny. Thornton walked right past her. He walked past every pretty face, every eligible woman, every mother pushing her daughter forward. He stopped at the back pew, right in front of Hannah. "Mrs. Cole." Hannah's heart slammed against her ribs. "Mr. Thornton." "This seat taken." She couldn't speak, just shook her head. Elijah Thornton sat down beside her. The whispers exploded. Hannah didn't hear a word of the sermon. She was too aware of him, his size, his heat, the way he sat still as stone while the whole church craned their necks to stare. Catherine Price turned around 4 times. Each time her face got darker. Martha sat rigid in her pew, radiating fury. When the service ended, Hannah tried to slip out quick. Her leg wouldn't cooperate. She stumbled on the church steps. A hand caught her arm. "Steady?" "Thornton." His grip was firm but gentle. "I'm fine," Hannah said. "Didn't say you wasn't." He let go but didn't step back. "Mind walking with me a minute?" Every eye in the churchyard was on them. Hannah felt the weight of it like a hand pressing down on her chest. "All right." They walked toward the big oak tree at the edge of the property. Hannah concentrated on not limping too bad. Thornton slowed his pace to match hers without a word. When they were out of earshot, he turned to face her. "I'll get right to it. I need a wife." Hannah stared at him. "Beg pardon. My father's will. Got conditions I didn't know about. I gotta be married within 6 months of Lillian's 16th birthday, or I lose half my land to my cousin Marcus. And you're telling me this because I want you to marry me." Hannah laughed, couldn't help it. A harsh sound that scraped her throat. "That ain't funny, Mr. Thornton. Ain't meant to be. You don't know me. Know enough." His eyes held hers. "You work harder than any woman in this town. You keep your books straight, even when the numbers don't add up. You take whatever folks throw at you and you don't break. That don't make me wife material. It makes you exactly what I need." Thornton stepped closer. "I ain't looking for love, Mrs. Cole. Had that once. It ended bad. I need a partner. Someone practical. Someone who understands this is business, not romance." Hannah's mind was spinning. "Why me? Catherine Price has been chasing you for months. She's beautiful. She wants to be loved. She'd expect flowers and sweet talk and devotion." Thornton's jaw tightened. "I can't give that. Won't pretend otherwise." "And you think I don't want those things? I think you stopped expecting them a long time ago." The truth hit Hannah like a fist to the gut. He was right. She had stopped expecting, stopped hoping, stopped believing any man would look at her busted leg and see anything worth having. "That's cruel," she whispered. "That's honest." Thornton's voice softened just barely. "I know about your mortgage. 300 by Friday. I can pay it off today, whether you say yes or not. I ain't for sale. Ain't trying to buy you. trying to offer you a choice." He paused. "I'm offering you a life, Hannah. A real one. Security, respect, a home where nobody calls you cripple behind your back." Hannah turned away, looked out at the brown prairie stretching to the horizon. "If I say yes," she said quietly, "what happens? We marry Saturday. You move to the ranch. Mortgage disappears. My inheritance stays mine. And your daughter?" She looked at me like she wanted me dead. Something flickered across Thornton's face, pain quick and deep. "Lillian lost her mama when she was 8. Baby died too. She ain't forgiven God for it yet. Ain't forgiven me either." "Why would she forgive you?" "Because her mama died in my house, in my bed, screaming my name while I couldn't do nothing but watch." Thornton's voice went rough. "Lillian decided that meant love was a lie. Can't say she's entirely wrong." Hannah turned back to face him. This man with his stone face and his buried grief. "I need time to think." "You got till Wednesday." He tipped his hat and walked away, leaving Hannah standing under the oak tree, with her whole world turned sideways. The confrontation came that night. Hannah was scrubbing the same pot she'd scrubbed 3 times when Martha came storming in. "What did he say to you?" Hannah didn't look up. "That's my business." "Nothing's your business in my house." Martha grabbed her arm, spun her around. "The whole town's talking. What does Elijah Thornton want with you?" Hannah pulled her arm free. "He asked me to marry him." Silence, long and heavy. "That's a lie," Martha said. "It ain't. He's the richest man in 3 counties. You're Martha sputtered. "You're nothing. A crippled widow who can't keep a roof over her head." "He don't seem to think so. It's a trick, some kind of joke. Men like him don't marry women like you." "This one does." Hannah picked up her pot. "He's paying off the mortgage too, whether I say yes or not." Martha's face went white, then red, then something Hannah had never seen before, fear. "You can't marry him." "Why?" "Because you'd lose your hold on me." Hannah set down the pot. 3 years, Martha. 3 years you've blamed me for William's death, called me cripple, made me feel worthless in my own home. It ain't your home, it's my son's home. Your son is dead. Hannah's voice was flat. And I'm still here, and I'm tired of paying for something that wasn't my fault. You were driving that wagon. The axle broke. The horse spooked. It was an accident. Hannah stepped forward. Martha stepped back. I loved William. I loved him more than you ever knew. And I've spent 3 years drowning in guilt while you twisted the knife. Don't you dare! I'm done, Martha. Done feeling sorry. Done hiding in corners. Done letting you and this town make me feel like I ain't worth nothing. Hannah walked past her, headed for the stairs. If you marry him, Martha called after her, don't bother coming back. Hannah stopped. Didn't turn around. Wasn't planning on it. Monday morning brought Samuel Cole to her door. Hannah's brother-in-law stood on the porch, hat in his hands, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Heard about Sunday, he said. Everybody heard about Sunday. Mother's upset. Your mother's been upset since the day William brought me home. Hannah sat on the porch swing, careful with her leg. What do you want, Samuel? He sat beside her, close but not too close. I want you to know, I think you should do it. Hannah looked at him surprised. Thornton's a good man, Samuel continued. Hard but fair. Folks who work for him say he treats 'em right. That's more than most around here can say. The town thinks I ain't good enough for him. The town's full of fools. Samuel's voice went sharp. They watched you struggle for 3 years, watched you limp through the streets, work yourself half to death, take their cruelty without a word. And they think you ain't good enough. Hannah was quiet for a moment. You never talked like this before. Should've. Samuel's jaw tightened. Should've said a lot of things. When Mother was cruel. When folks whispered. When you needed someone and I just stood there. Why didn't you? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he looked at her, and Hannah saw something in his eyes she'd never noticed before. "Because I loved you. From the first day William brought you home." He held up his hand before she could speak. "I ain't saying it to change nothing. William was my brother. I'd never have. But I want you to know. You deserve this, Hannah. You deserve someone who sees what you're worth." He put his hat back on. "If Thornton's the one who sees it, then marry him. Don't let Mother or Catherine or anyone else tell you different." He walked away. Hannah sat alone on the porch, heart pounding, mind racing. Catherine Price came calling Monday afternoon. Hannah heard the fancy carriage before she saw it. 2 matched horses, polished wood, a driver in livery. More money rolling up her dirt path than she'd see in a lifetime. Catherine swept through the door without knocking. "Mrs. Cole, we need to talk." "About what?" "About whatever game you're playing with Elijah Thornton." Hannah crossed her arms. "Ain't playing no game." "Please." Catherine's laugh was sharp as glass. "We both know why he sat with you Sunday. He's trying to make me jealous. It's working, I'll admit. Clever of him." "That what you think? What else could it be?" Catherine's eyes raked over Hannah, her plain dress, her rough hands, her crooked stance. "Look at you. 34 years old, can barely walk, running a boarding house that's falling apart around your ears. Why would a man like Elijah Thornton want you? Maybe you should ask him." Catherine's smile disappeared. "Stay away from him." Her voice went cold. "I've worked too hard and waited too long. He's mine. He ain't a horse to be claimed." "Everything's something to be claimed, Mrs. Cole. That's how the world works." Catherine moved closer. "I can destroy you, your reputation, your business, whatever pathetic little life you've scraped together." Hannah didn't back up. "You can try." "I don't try. I do." Catherine's eyes glittered. "Ask yourself something. When Friday comes and you still can't pay that mortgage, who do you think Martha's going to side with? The crippled daughter-in-law she hates? Or the wealthy widow who can make all her problems disappear?" Hannah felt cold despite the heat. "Get out of my house." "It won't be your house for long." Catherine turned to leave, then paused at the door. "Oh, and Hannah, when Elijah realizes his mistake, and he will, I'll be waiting. I've always been waiting." She was gone. Hannah stood in the empty parlor, fists clenched, heart hammering. Catherine was right about one thing. Friday was coming. The mortgage was coming. And if Hannah didn't do something, she'd lose everything. No more waiting. No more doubt. She knew what she had to do. Wednesday morning, blazing hot. Hannah walked to Thornton's ranch, 5 miles on a bad leg under the summer sun. By the time she reached the gate, her dress was soaked through, and her legs screamed with every step. Rufus Washington met her at the fence. "Mrs. Cole." His eyebrows went up. "You walked?" "I did. 5 miles in this heat. Wanted to prove something." Rufus studied her for a long moment. Then something like a smile crossed his weathered face. "He's in the study. I'll take you." The house was bigger than anything Hannah had ever seen. White-painted 2 stories wide porches all around. Cool inside somehow, like stepping into another world. Thornton stood when she entered his study. His eyes went to her sweat-soaked dress, her flushed face, her trembling leg. "You walked." "I did." "Sit down before you fall down." Hannah sat. The relief nearly made her cry. Thornton poured water from a pitcher, handed her a glass. She drank it in 3 long swallows. "You could have sent word," he said. "I'd have sent a carriage." "Didn't want a carriage. Wanted you to see what I'm willing to do." Hannah set down the glass. "I got questions." "Ask." "Your cousin, Marcus. He wants your land. Wants it bad. Got debts. Gambling mostly. My land's the only thing that can save him." "Is he dangerous?" "He's desperate. That's worse." Thornton sat across from her. "He'll fight dirty. Try to stop the wedding. Try to prove it ain't real. How do we prove it's real? We live it. Thornton's eyes met hers. I ain't asking you to love me, Hannah. I ain't asking for nothing but partnership. But if we're gonna do this, we gotta do it right. Side by side. No secrets. No weakness for Marcus to exploit. Hannah nodded slowly. And Lillian? Pain flickered across Thornton's face. Lillian's angry. Been angry since her mama died. She blames you. She blames everyone. Me most of all. He paused. She won't make it easy on you. I ain't looking for easy. Hannah leaned forward. I'm looking for a chance. That's all I ever wanted, Mr. Thornton. A chance to prove I'm more than what this town thinks I am. Elijah. What? My name's Elijah. If we're gonna be married, you might as well use it. Hannah felt something shift in her chest. Something warm and unexpected. All right, Elijah. She took a breath. I got one more question. Ask. Why me the real reason? Not the practical stuff about partnerships and business. The real reason you chose me out of everyone you could have had. Elijah was quiet for a long moment. Because when I look at you, he said finally, I don't see what everyone else sees. They look at your leg and they see damaged. I see a woman who survived something that would have killed most folks. They see you struggling and they think weak. I see you fighting every damn day and never giving up. He stood crossed to where she sat, looked down at her. You ain't what this town thinks, Hannah Cole. You never were. And maybe, his voice dropped, maybe I ain't what they think either. Hannah looked up at him, this man with his hard face and his buried heart. Saturday, she said quietly. We do it Saturday. You sure? I'm sure. Elijah held out his hand. Hannah took it. His grip was warm, rough, real. Saturday, he said. I'll send a carriage. I'll be ready. For the first time in 3 years, Hannah smiled. A real smile. One that reached her eyes. She had a long way to go. A daughter who hated her. A cousin who'd try to stop them. A town that would whisper and stare. But she had something she hadn't had in a long time. She had a chance. And she wasn't about to waste it. Saturday came in with a wall of heat that pressed down on Dry Creek like a punishment. Hannah woke before dawn. Couldn't eat. Couldn't sit still. She put on her best dress, the gray one she'd worn to William's funeral, and told herself it didn't matter that she didn't have white. It didn't matter that nobody would be there to wish her well. It didn't matter that her hands wouldn't stop shaking. You're really doing this? Hannah turned. Martha stood in the doorway, face hard as stone. I am. Walking into that church like you deserve him. Martha's voice dripped venom. Like you deserve anything good after what you did to my son. I didn't do nothing to William except love him. You killed him. The wagon killed him. The horse killed him. God killed him. Hannah picked up her small bag, the only thing she was taking. But you keep on blaming me if it makes you feel better, Martha. I'm done carrying your guilt. When this falls apart, and it will, don't come crawling back. Hannah walked past her, stopped at the door. You know what the saddest part is? William loved you, defended you every time I complained about how you treated me. Said you didn't mean it, said you'd come around. Hannah's voice was steady. He was wrong, and I'm glad he ain't here to see what you've become. She walked out, didn't look back. The carriage was waiting at the end of the road. Rufus Washington sat in the driver's seat, his face unreadable. Mrs. Cole. Mr. Washington. Gonna be Mrs. Thornton in about an hour. He climbed down, opened the carriage door for her. How you feeling about that? Terrified. Rufus smiled just barely. Good. Means you're taking it serious. The ride to the church was quiet. Hannah watched the brown prairie roll past and tried to calm her racing heart. This was real. This was happening. She was about to marry a man she barely knew, move into a house where his daughter hated her, and face a town that thought she wasn't worth the dust on their boots. And somehow, for the first time in 3 years, she felt alive. The church was nearly empty when they arrived. Reverend Matthews waited at the altar. Samuel stood near the front, looking uncomfortable but determined. A few ranch hands from Thornton's place sat in the back pews, witnesses to the deed. No one else. No friends. No family. No well-wishers. Just business. Then the door opened behind her. Catherine Price walked in. Blue silk dress. Perfect hair. A smile, like a drawn knife. "Am I late? I would hate to miss this." Hannah's stomach dropped. "What are you doing here?" Samuel stepped forward. "Why, paying my respects, of course. It's not every day the richest man in 3 counties marries the town cripple." Catherine's eyes found Hannah's. "I wanted to see it for myself." "Get out." Samuel's voice was hard. "It's a public church, Mr. Cole. I have every right to be here." "Let her stay." Everyone turned. Elijah Thornton stood in the side door, dressed in a black suit, his face carved from granite. "Mr. Thornton," Samuel started. "I said let her stay." Elijah walked to the altar, his eyes never leaving Hannah's. "Let her see. Let the whole damn town see." He held out his hand to Hannah. She took it. His grip was warm, steady, sure. "You ready?" he asked, low enough that only she could hear. "I'm ready." They faced Reverend Matthews together. Catherine Price watched from the back pew, her smile frozen on her face. The ceremony was short, simple, words that had been said 1,000 times before in this church and 100 others. "Do you, Elijah James Thornton, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." "And do you, Hannah Marie Cole, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Hannah looked at Elijah, at his steady eyes, his scarred hands, his face that gave nothing away and promised nothing but honesty. "I do." "Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you man and wife." No kiss. They hadn't discussed that. Elijah just squeezed her hand once, firm and brief, and that was that. Hannah Cole was Hannah Thornton now. Catherine Price stood up. Her smile was gone. "Congratulations!" she said, her voice dripping with something that wasn't congratulations at all. "I give it a month." She walked out. Her heels clicked against the wooden floor like gunshots. Samuel let out a breath. "That woman's gonna be trouble. Let her try." Hannah's voice surprised her, stronger than she expected. "I ain't scared of Catherine Price." Elijah looked at her. Something flickered in his eyes. Not warmth, not yet, but something close to respect. "Let's go home," he said. Home. The word hit Hannah somewhere deep. She hadn't had a home in 3 years. Maybe now she did. The ranch house rose up out of the prairie like a fortress, bigger than Hannah remembered, grander, a place where someone like her had no business being. "Nervous?" Elijah asked as the carriage rolled to a stop. "Should I be? Lillian's inside. She didn't come to the church." "I noticed." "She ain't gonna make this easy. Nothing in my life's been easy. Don't expect that to change now." Elijah helped her down from the carriage. His hand lingered on hers a moment longer than necessary. "For what it's worth," he said quietly, "I'm glad you said yes." Before Hannah could respond, the front door slammed open. Lillian Thornton stood on the porch. 16 years old, dark hair wild around her face, eyes blazing with fury. "You actually did it!" Her voice cracked. "You actually married her!" "Lillian," Elijah started. "No." Lillian's hands were shaking. "Mama's been dead 8 years and you just replace her with this." She pointed at Hannah. The word "this" hit like a slap. "I ain't replacing nobody," Hannah said, keeping her voice calm. "I ain't trying to be your mama." "Good. Because you never could be." Lillian's eyes filled with tears. "My mama was beautiful. My mama was kind. My mama was everything. And you're nothing." "Lillian, that's enough." Elijah's voice went hard. It'll never be enough, Lillian screamed. You let her die. You let the baby die. And now you bring this crippled stranger into our house. Like it don't matter. Like mama don't matter. Your mama mattered more than anything. Then why are you doing this? Silence. Heavy. Painful. Elijah's face was gray. His jaw worked like he was chewing on words he couldn't spit out. Hannah stepped forward. Because he needs help, she said quietly. Same as I do. Same as you do, though you won't admit it. Lillian's tear-streaked face twisted. I don't need nothing from you. Maybe not, but you got it anyway. Hannah limped up the porch steps, stopping in front of the girl. I know you hate me. That's fine. Hate me all you want. But I ain't going nowhere, Lillian. So we can either spend the next however long making each other miserable, or we can figure out how to live in the same house without killing each other. Lillian stared at her. Something shifted in her eyes, not softening, not yet, but a flicker of something that might have been surprise. I choose miserable, she said. She turned and ran inside, her footsteps pounding up the stairs. Hannah let out a breath. That went well. Elijah appeared beside her. Better than I expected, actually. That was better. She didn't throw anything. He paused. Last time I brought a woman to dinner, Catherine 2 years ago, Lillian threw a vase at her head. Good to know. She'll come around, eventually. And if she don't, Elijah looked at Hannah with those unreadable eyes. Then we deal with it. Together. Together. Another word that hit deep. Hannah nodded slowly. All right. Show me the house. The first week was war. Lillian avoided Hannah like she was carrying plague. Wouldn't eat at the same table. Wouldn't speak beyond single words. Slammed doors whenever Hannah walked past. Hannah let it go. She had bigger problems. The ranch hands watched her with wary eyes. The household staff, a cook named Rosa, and 2 maids whispered behind her back. Everyone was waiting to see if the boss's new wife would fall apart. She didn't fall apart. She woke before dawn every morning. Helped Rosa in the kitchen, even though Rosa didn't want her help. Went over the household accounts until her eyes burned. Fixed things that needed fixing. Worked harder than she'd ever worked at the boarding house. By the end of the first week, Rosa stopped whispering. By the end of the second week, the maids started nodding when she passed. Lillian still hated her. Hannah was in the study going over cattle records when she heard the carriage. She went to the window. A fancy rig pulled up to the front door. A man climbed out. He was tall, thin, with slicked back hair and a face like a weasel. His clothes were expensive, but worn. His eyes darted everywhere, taking in the house, the land, the wealth. Hannah's gut went cold. She knew who this was before Rufus even announced him. Marcus Thornton, Rufus said from the doorway, his voice flat. Here to see Mr. Elijah. My husband ain't here. Then I'll wait. Marcus pushed past Rufus into the study, his eyes landing on Hannah with naked curiosity. So you're the new wife, the cripple from town. The name's Hannah. I know what your name is. I know everything about you, Mrs. Thornton. Marcus smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. Widow. Poor. Desperate. The perfect mark for my cousin's little scheme. Scheme. Oh, he didn't tell you. Marcus settled into Elijah's chair like he owned it. About our grandfather's will. About how he needs to be married by October, or he loses half his land to me. He told me. Did he tell you it don't matter? Marcus leaned forward. Because that's what I'm here to explain. The will says he has to marry a woman of good standing, a respectable woman, someone the community recognizes. Hannah's heart beat faster. Look at you. Marcus's voice was silk over steel. A crippled widow from a failing boarding house. No family, no money, no standing at all. You think a court's gonna recognize you as a fit wife for one of the richest men in Texas? I think that's for the court to decide. The court decides what I tell it to decide. Marcus stood. I've got friends, Mrs. Thornton, judges, lawyers. People who owe me favors. This marriage won't hold. It can't hold. You're nobody." Hannah stood too. Her legs screamed in protest. She ignored it. "I used to think that. Spent 3 years thinking I was nobody." She stepped toward him. "But here's the thing, Mr. Thornton. Your cousin didn't choose me because I was nobody. He chose me because I'm a survivor. Because I don't break. Because men like you have been trying to push me down my whole life, and I'm still standing." Marcus's smile flickered. "So you go ahead. File your papers. Talk to your judges. Do whatever you need to do." Hannah's voice was steady as stone. "But I ain't going nowhere. This is my home now, and I'll fight for it." "You think you can fight me? I know I can." Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he laughed, cold sharp without humor. "We'll see, Mrs. Thornton. We'll see." He walked out. The door slammed behind him. Hannah stood alone in the study, her legs shaking, her heart pounding. She'd made an enemy today, a powerful one. But she'd also discovered something. Something that had been buried under 3 years of grief and shame. She could fight. She would fight. And God help anyone who tried to take this from her. Elijah found her that evening, still in the study, still going over papers. "Rufus told me Marcus came by." He did. What did he say? That our marriage won't hold. That I ain't good enough. That he's gonna fight us in court. Hannah looked up. "Same things everyone's been saying since you sat down next to me in that church." Elijah was quiet for a moment. Then he crossed to her, stood beside her chair, looking down at the papers she'd been studying. "What are you doing?" "Learning. These are your cattle records from the last 5 years. Your profit margins. Your losses." She pointed at a column. "You've been losing about 10% more than you should. Somebody's skimming." Elijah went still. "What?" "These numbers don't add up. Either you've got the worst luck in Texas or someone's stealing from you." "Who?" "I don't know yet, but I'll find out." Hannah met his eyes. "That's what you hired me for, ain't it? To be useful?" Something shifted in Elijah's face. Not warmth, not yet, but something close. "Hannah." "Yeah. Thank you." 2 words. Simple. But they hit Hannah harder than anything had in a long time. "You're welcome." He nodded once, turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "Lillian asked about you today." Hannah's heart jumped. "What did she say?" "Asked if you were really gonna stay. I said yes." He paused. "She didn't throw anything." A small laugh escaped Hannah. "Progress. Progress." Elijah almost smiled. Almost. "Good night, Hannah." "Good night, Elijah." He left. Hannah sat alone in the study, surrounded by papers and numbers and the first real hope she'd felt in years. This wasn't love, wasn't even close. But it was something. A start. A foundation. And Hannah Thornton was going to build on it one day at a time until nobody, not Marcus, not Catherine, not anyone could tear it down. The next morning brought trouble nobody expected. Hannah was in the kitchen with Rosa when one of the ranch hands came running in his face, white as flour. "Ma'am, you need to come. Quick." "What is it?" "It's Miss Lillian. She took a horse out this morning. Horse came back without her." Hannah's blood went cold. "Where?" "North pasture. We're getting a search party together, but..." Hannah was already moving. Her legs screamed with every step, but she didn't care. Elijah met her at the barn, his face a mask of controlled terror. "I'll find her," Hannah said. "You can barely walk." "I can ride, and I know what it's like to be a 16-year-old girl who thinks nobody cares about her." Hannah grabbed a saddle. "Let me try." Elijah stared at her for a long moment. Then he nodded. "North pasture. There's a ravine about 2 miles out. She used to go there with her mother." Hannah mounted up. The pain in her leg was blinding. She rode anyway. The ravine was deeper than she expected. She spotted the broken branch first. Then the torn piece of fabric caught on a rock. "Lillian, nothing. Lillian, it's Hannah, I'm coming." She dismounted, nearly fell, caught herself on a boulder, started climbing down her bad leg, dragging behind her. "Go away." The voice was faint, angry, scared. "Can't do that. I don't need your help." "Maybe not, but I'm here anyway." Hannah found her at the bottom. Lillian was pressed against a rock, her ankle twisted at a wrong angle, her face streaked with tears and dirt. "I fell," Lillian said, voice shaking. "Horse spooked and I fell." "I see that." Hannah knelt beside her. "Can you move your foot?" "No, it hurts." "All right. We're gonna get you out of here." "How you can barely walk yourself?" "Then I guess we're both a mess, ain't we?" Hannah smiled. Two broken women stuck in a ravine. Could be worse. How could it be worse? Could be stuck here with someone you actually hate. Lillian stared at her. Something cracked in her face. A tiny laugh, surprised and painful. "I do hate you." "I know, but right now, I'm all you've got." Hannah held out her hand. "So let's get you home." Lillian hesitated. Her eyes searched Hannah's face, looking for something. Whatever she found, it was enough. She took Hannah's hand. Getting up the ravine took an hour. Lillian leaning on Hannah's bad leg, screaming with every step, both of them sweating and cursing and refusing to quit. Elijah met them at the top. He pulled Lillian into his arms, his face broken open in a way Hannah had never seen before. "I'm sorry, Daddy." Lillian was crying. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. Just don't ever do that again." Over Lillian's shoulder, Elijah's eyes found Hannah's. He didn't say thank you. Didn't need to. It was all there in his eyes. That night, Hannah was soaking her leg in hot water when a knock came at her door. "Come in." Lillian stood in the doorway. Her ankle was bandaged. Her hair was washed. She looked younger than 16. Scared. Lost. "I wanted to say thank you," she said quietly. "For today." "You're welcome. I still don't like you." "I know. But," Lillian swallowed, "maybe you ain't as bad as I thought." It wasn't much. Wasn't forgiveness. Wasn't acceptance. But it was something. "Maybe you ain't either," Hannah said. Lillian almost smiled. Almost. "Good night, Mrs. Thornton." "Good night, Lillian." The girl left. Hannah sat alone in her room, her leg aching, her heart full of something she barely recognized. It felt like hope. 2 weeks passed. The heat didn't break. Hannah found her rhythm on the ranch. Up before dawn. Coffee with Rosa. Accounts until mid-morning. Riding the property with Rufus in the afternoons. Learning the land, learning the cattle, learning everything she'd need to know to fight for this place. Lillian still kept her distance, but the hostility had cooled. She no longer slammed doors, no longer refused to eat at the same table. Small things, but Hannah noticed. Elijah noticed too. "She asked about you again," he said one evening after dinner. They'd fallen into a habit of sitting on the porch together, watching the sun go down, talking about the day. "What did she say?" "Asked how you knew where to find her." "In the ravine." "What did you tell her?" "The truth. That you just knew." Elijah was quiet for a moment. "She said her mama used to know things like that. Used to always find her when she was hiding." Hannah's chest tightened. "I ain't trying to replace her mama." "I know. Lillian knows too, I think. That's what scares her." "What do you mean?" Elijah turned to look at her. In the fading light, his face was softer than usual, almost gentle. "She's scared she might start to like you. And if she likes you, she might lose you. Same way she lost her mama." Hannah didn't know what to say to that. "She lost a lot," she finally said. "So did you." "So did you." Their eyes met. Something passed between them. Something Hannah wasn't ready to name. I should check the accounts, she said, standing. Found another discrepancy today. Hannah. She stopped. Thank you. For staying. For fighting. Elijah's voice was rough. I know this ain't what you expected. I didn't expect nothing. That's what made it easy to say yes. She went inside before he could respond, before she could say something she'd regret. The next morning, everything changed. Hannah was in the study when Rufus appeared in the doorway, his face grim. Got a problem, ma'am. What kind? The legal kind. Judge Warren's here. Brought papers. Hannah's blood went cold. Marcus. She found them in the parlor. Judge Warren was a fat man with a red face and nervous eyes. Marcus stood behind him, smiling like a snake. Elijah stood rigid by the fireplace, his fists clenched at his sides. Mrs. Thornton. Judge Warren cleared his throat. I'm here to inform you that a formal challenge has been filed against your marriage. On what grounds? On the grounds that you lack the standing required by the Thornton family will. Specifically that you were a woman of poor reputation and no social position at the time of the marriage. That's a lie. Is it? Marcus stepped forward. You were running a failing boarding house. You couldn't pay your debts. Your own mother-in-law was about to throw you out on the street. He smiled wider. Hardly the picture of respectability. The will don't say nothing about money, Elijah growled. The will says a woman of good standing. Judge Warren and I have had several conversations about what that means. Marcus put his hand on the judge's shoulder. The judge flinched. Haven't we, Judge? The interpretation is open to debate? Warren stammered. A hearing has been scheduled. 3 weeks from now. Both parties will present their case. And if we lose, Hannah asked, the marriage will be declared invalid. Mr. Elijah Thornton will be in violation of the will's conditions, and the designated properties will transfer to Mr. Marcus Thornton. Silence. Heavy. Deadly. Get out of my house, Elijah said quietly. Now, cousin, there's no need. I said get out. Marcus's smile faltered. He saw something in Elijah's eyes that made him step back. 3 weeks, cousin. Enjoy them while you can. They left. The door closed behind them. Hannah sank into a chair. Her legs wouldn't hold her anymore. Can he do this? She asked. He's doing it. What do we do? Elijah was quiet for a long moment. Then he crossed to her, knelt in front of her chair, took her hands in his. We fight. Same as we've been doing. How? He's got the judge in his pocket. Then we find someone he don't have in his pocket. We find proof that our marriage is real. We find something on Marcus that makes him back off. And if we can't, Elijah's grip tightened on her hands. I ain't losing you, Hannah. I ain't losing this. The words hit her somewhere deep. She searched his face looking for the businessman who'd proposed to her in a churchyard. Looking for the cold, practical man who'd said he didn't want love. She didn't find him. She found someone else entirely. All right, she said quietly. Then we fight. The next week was chaos. Elijah rode to Austin to find a lawyer. Hannah stayed at the ranch, going through every record, every document, every piece of paper that might help their case. She also kept digging into the cattle records. The discrepancies were getting worse. Someone was definitely stealing, and the amounts were adding up. Found something. Rosa appeared in the doorway of the study, her face troubled. What is it? You know the new hand, the one Marcus recommended Billy Dawson? Hannah's gut clenched. What about him? He was asking questions this morning, about you, about Mr. Elijah, about the marriage. Rosa lowered her voice. And I saw him riding toward town last night, after everyone was asleep. Where was he going? Don't know. But he came back before dawn, like he didn't want nobody to see. Hannah stood. Where is he now? South pasture, working the fence line. Get Rufus. Tell him to meet me there. Hannah found Billy Dawson leaning against a fence post rolling a cigarette. He was young, maybe 25, with a face that was too handsome and eyes that were too careful. "Mrs. Thornton." He tipped his hat. "Something I can help you with." "You can tell me who you're working for." Billy's smile didn't falter. "I work for Mr. Thornton, same as everyone else." "You work for Marcus, don't you?" Silence. The smile slipped. "I don't know what you're talking about." "You've been riding to town at night, asking questions about me and my husband, reporting back to someone." Hannah stepped closer. "I ain't stupid, Mr. Dawson, so don't treat me like I am." Billy's eyes darted behind her. Rufus was there, his arms crossed, his face hard. "I think you should start talking," Rufus said. "Less you want trouble you can't handle." Billy looked between them, his mask crumbled. All right. He raised his hands. "Marcus hired me 6 months ago. Said all I had to do was keep an eye on things. Report back anything useful." "Useful how?" "Anything that might help him get the land, weaknesses, secrets." Billy swallowed. "He said if I found proof the marriage was fake, he'd pay me $500. Hannah's heart pounded. "And did you find proof?" "There ain't no proof because it ain't fake. I told him that. Told him you and Mr. Thornton are the real thing, anyone can see it." Billy's voice dropped. He didn't want to hear it. "What else?" "What else have you told him?" Billy hesitated. "What else?" "The cattle records. The money that's missing." Billy's eyes dropped. "Marcus already knew about it. Because he's the one taking it. Him and Judge Warren. They've been skimming for years using my reports to cover their tracks." Hannah felt the ground shift under her feet. "They've been stealing from Elijah. 10%, every sale, for the past 3 years. Billy looked miserable. "I didn't know at first. When I figured it out, I was already in too deep." Rufus stepped forward. "We should take him to the sheriff." "No." Hannah's mind was racing. "Not yet. If Marcus knows we're onto him, he'll destroy the evidence. We need proof first, real proof." She looked at Billy, scared, young, trapped. "You want a way out of this, more than anything. Then you keep working for Marcus. You keep reporting to him. But from now on, you report to me first." Hannah's voice was steel. "You help me get the proof I need, and I'll make sure you don't hang for this. Deal?" Billy stared at her for a long moment. "Deal." Elijah came back from Austin with a lawyer named Thomas Grant. Sharp-eyed, gray-haired, with a reputation for winning cases no one else would touch. "Your wife's done half my job for me," Grant said, after reviewing everything Hannah had gathered. The connection between Marcus and Judge Warren, the cattle skimming, the planted informant. He shook his head. "This isn't just about your inheritance anymore. This is fraud, conspiracy. If we can prove it, Marcus goes to prison." "Can we prove it?" "We need documentation, bank records, something that ties the missing money to Marcus directly." "How do we get that?" Grant smiled. "That's where it gets interesting." The plan was simple, dangerous, but simple. Billy would tell Marcus that Judge Warren was getting nervous, that the judge wanted a meeting to discuss covering their tracks. Marcus would bring whatever documentation he had to prove his case at the hearing, and Hannah would be there to take it. "Absolutely not," Elijah said when he heard the plan. "You're not putting yourself at risk like that." "I'm already at risk. We all are." Hannah faced him. "This is our best chance, maybe our only chance. If something goes wrong, you come get me. But I'm doing this, Elijah, with or without your blessing." They stared at each other. The air between them crackled. "You're the stubbornest woman I ever met," Elijah said finally. "That's why you married me." Something shifted in his face. His hand came up, touched her cheek. Gentle, hesitant. "Be careful." "I will." "I mean it, Hannah. I can't." His voice broke. "I can't lose you. Not now. Hannah's heart stopped. Elijah. I know what I said when I proposed, about not wanting feelings, about this being business. He stepped closer. I was lying. To you. To myself. I've been lying since the moment I sat down next to you in that church. What are you saying? I'm saying I care about you, more than I should, more than I meant to. His eyes held hers. I'm saying that whatever happens, this ain't just business anymore. Not for me. Hannah couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Elijah, you don't have to say nothing. I just needed you to know. Before tomorrow. He dropped his hand. In case something goes wrong. He walked away. Hannah stood alone, her heart pounding, his words echoing in her head. He cared about her, really cared, and God help her, she cared about him too. The meeting was set for the following night. An abandoned barn outside of town. Private. Isolated. Hannah hid in the loft, barely breathing, watching through the gaps in the floorboards. Marcus arrived first. Then Judge Warren, sweating despite the cool evening. This is a mistake, Warren said. If anyone finds out, no one's going to find out. That's why we're here. Marcus pulled papers from his satchel. The ledgers, the bank transfers, everything we need to prove the marriage is invalid. And if Thornton fights back, with what he doesn't know about the cattle money, he doesn't know about any of it. Marcus laughed. By the time this is over, I'll have his land, his cattle, and his crippled wife will be back in that boarding house where she belongs. Hannah's fists clenched. What about the girl? Warren asked. Lillian? What about her? She's 16. By the time she comes of age, I'll have sold off half the ranch to cover my debts. Marcus shrugged. She can work as a maid somewhere. I don't care. Hannah had heard enough. She moved too fast. Her boot caught on a loose board. The sound echoed through the barn. Marcus's head snapped up. What was that? Someone's here. Warren's voice cracked with panic. Find them! Hannah ran. Her legs screamed. She didn't care. She had to get out. Had to get to Elijah. Had to. A hand grabbed her arm, yanked her back. Marcus's face was inches from hers. Rage twisted his features into something ugly. The crippled wife herself, spying on me. Let me go. I don't think so. His grip tightened. You've been a thorn in my side since the day Elijah married you. Time to pull it out. If you hurt me, Elijah will kill you. If he finds you. Marcus's smile made her blood freeze. Lots of ways to disappear in Texas, Mrs. Thornton. Lots of places no one would ever look. Let her go. Let her. Hannah's heart leaped. Elijah stood in the barn doorway. Behind him, Rufus. Behind them, Sheriff Patterson and 3 deputies. Marcus's face went white. It's over, cousin. Elijah's voice was death. We heard everything. You can't prove. We don't need to prove nothing. You just confessed, in front of witnesses. Sheriff Patterson stepped forward. Marcus Thornton, you're under arrest for fraud, embezzlement, and conspiracy. Marcus lunged for Hannah. A last desperate move. Elijah moved faster. His fist connected with Marcus's jaw. Marcus crumpled like a paper doll. That's for threatening my wife, Elijah said quietly. He crossed to Hannah, pulled her into his arms. She buried her face in his chest, shaking. I've got you, he murmured. You're safe. I've got you. Hannah held on and didn't let go. The aftermath was chaos. Marcus and Judge Warren were taken to jail. The real judge from Austin was summoned. The ledgers were examined, the fraud exposed, the inheritance secured. By the time the dust settled, Hannah Thornton was the legal, recognized, uncontested wife of Elijah Thornton. No one could take that away now. But something else had changed too. Something that had nothing to do with courts or judges or wills. Hannah sat on the porch that night, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars. Her leg ached. Her heart ached more. Footsteps. Elijah sat down beside her. "Can't sleep?" he asked. "Too much thinking." "About what?" "About what you said before the barn." Hannah turned to face him. "Did you mean it?" "Every word." "I don't know how to do this, Elijah. I've been alone so long. I forgot what it feels like to need someone." "You don't need me. You proved that 100 times over." "Maybe not, but I want you." The words came out before she could stop them. "I want this to be real, not business, not convenience, real." Elijah was quiet for a long moment. Then he reached for her, pulled her close, kissed her. Not gentle, not hesitant. A kiss that burned through her like fire. When they broke apart, Hannah was trembling. "Real enough for you?" Elijah asked, his voice rough. Hannah laughed. A real laugh. The first one in years. "Getting there." "Good. Because I ain't planning on stopping." He kissed her again. And this time Hannah kissed him back with everything she had. Somewhere in the house a door opened, then closed. Neither of them noticed. The next morning Lillian was waiting at the breakfast table. Her face was unreadable. Hannah sat down across from her, bracing for whatever was coming. "I saw you last night," Lillian said. "On the porch. With Daddy." Hannah's cheeks flushed. "Lillian, I thought I'd be angry." Lillian's voice was quiet. "I thought seeing him with someone else would make me hate you more." And it didn't. Lillian looked up. Her eyes were wet. "He was happy." "I ain't seen him happy in 8 years, not since Mama." Hannah's chest tightened. "You did that," Lillian continued. "You made him happy, and I—" She swallowed. "I've been so mad for so long. At him, at God, at you. But being mad ain't bringing Mama back. And it ain't making nothing better." "Lillian, I'm not saying I love you. I'm not saying we're family." Lillian wiped her eyes. "But maybe we could try to be something. Someday." Hannah reached across the table, took Lillian's hand. "I'd like that." "Me too." They sat together in the morning light, two broken women starting to heal. And for the first time in a long time, Hannah Thornton believed that happy endings might actually exist. 3 weeks after Marcus went to prison, Catherine Price came back to town. Hannah heard about it from Rosa first, then from Rufus, then from half the ranch hands who'd gone to town for supplies and come back buzzing with gossip. "She's staying at the hotel," Rosa said, her voice tight, "wearing black like she's in mourning, telling everyone who'll listen that you stole her man. Let her talk. She ain't just talking, Mrs. Hannah. She's planning something. I can feel it." Hannah felt it too, a storm building on the horizon. But she had other things to worry about, like the way Elijah looked at her now. Like she was something precious, something he couldn't believe he got to keep. Like the way her heart jumped every time he walked into a room. Like the way she'd started thinking about forever, and it didn't scare her anymore. "You're distracted," Elijah said that evening. They were on the porch again, their spot now. "What's on your mind?" "Catherine's back." "I heard." "You ain't worried?" "Should I be?" Hannah turned to face him. "She hates me, Elijah. She wanted you and I took you, and she ain't the type to let that go." "You didn't take me. I chose you." Elijah reached for her hand. "There's a difference." "She don't see it that way." "Then she's blind." He pulled her closer. "Listen to me. Catherine Price can scheme all she wants. She can't touch what we have. Nobody can." Hannah wanted to believe him. God, she wanted to. But she'd learned a long time ago that wanting something didn't make it true. The trouble started the next morning. Hannah rode into town for supplies. First time she'd gone alone since the wedding. She wanted to prove she could. Wanted to prove she belonged here in this life, in this town. The stares started the moment she tied up her horse. Whispers, pointed fingers, people crossing the street to avoid her. Hannah kept her chin up, walked into the general store like she owned it. Mrs. Patterson was behind the counter. Her face went cold the second she saw Hannah. "Mrs. Thornton?" "Mrs. Patterson, I need flour, sugar, and coffee. The usual." "I'm afraid we're out." Hannah looked at the shelves behind her. Full. Overflowing. Out. That's what I said. I can see the flour right there. It's spoken for. Hannah's jaw tightened. By who? By people who deserve it. Mrs. Patterson's voice dripped venom. People who didn't trap a good man into marriage with lies and trickery. I didn't trap nobody. That's not what I heard. That's not what anyone's heard. Mrs. Patterson leaned forward. Catherine Price told us everything. How you schemed your way into that ranch. How you're only after his money. How you drove Marcus Thornton to desperation with your manipulations. That's a lie. Is it Marcus is in prison? A good man from a good family, and you put him there. Marcus was stealing from Elijah for years. He tried to have me killed. So you say. Mrs. Patterson's eyes were ice. But we know the truth. We all know. Hannah's hands were shaking. She wanted to scream, wanted to cry, wanted to grab Mrs. Patterson by her starched collar and shake her until she saw sense. Instead, she turned and walked out. The street was worse than before. People had gathered, watching, waiting. Catherine Price stood in the center of them, dressed in her widow's black, her face a mask of false sympathy. Hannah, how nice to see you. Catherine. I was just telling everyone about poor Marcus, how he was framed, how the real criminal is still walking free. Catherine's smile was poison. But I suppose the truth will come out eventually. It always does. The truth already came out. That's why Marcus is in prison. Marcus was desperate. You drove him to it. Catherine stepped closer. You and your scheming, your manipulation. You saw a rich man and you sank your claws in, and you didn't let go. I didn't. Everyone sees it, Hannah. Everyone knows. Catherine's voice rose, playing to the crowd. You're a fraud. A crippled, desperate fraud who tricked a grieving widower into marrying you. That ain't true. Then why is he with you? Look at you. Catherine's laugh was sharp. You can barely walk. You're plain as dirt. You have nothing to offer except desperation. Why would a man like Elijah Thornton choose you unless you tricked him? The crowd murmured. Agreement. Confirmation. Hannah felt the ground crumbling under her feet. Because I love her. Every head turned. Elijah stood at the edge of the crowd. His face was thunder. His eyes were fire. Elijah, Catherine started. Shut up. He walked forward. The crowd parted. I've heard enough poison from your mouth to last a lifetime, Catherine. I'm done listening. I'm only telling the truth. You're telling lies because you're bitter and broken and you can't stand that I chose someone else. Elijah stopped in front of Hannah, took her hand. I chose Hannah Cole because she's the strongest woman I've ever known. I chose her because she works harder than anyone on my ranch. I chose her because she saved my daughter's life. I chose her because she makes me believe in things I thought I'd never believe in again. His voice rose, carrying across the crowd. And if anyone in this town has a problem with that, they can deal with me. Silence. Absolute silence. Catherine's face was white with fury. You'll regret this, she hissed. Both of you. I doubt it. Elijah turned to Hannah. Ready to go home. Hannah nodded. She didn't trust her voice. They walked to the horses together. The crowd watched them go. Nobody said a word. But Hannah knew this wasn't over. She could see it in Catherine's eyes. The storm was still coming. That night, Hannah couldn't sleep. She kept replaying it in her head. Elijah's words, the way he'd defended her, the way he'd said, I love her, in front of the whole town, like it was the simplest thing in the world. Did he mean it? Really mean it? She had to know. She found him in his study, staring into the fire. He looked up when she entered. Can't sleep either. No, she sat across from him. What you said today, in town, did you mean it? Which part? The part where you said you love me. Elijah was quiet for a long moment. The fire crackled. The house creaked. I meant every word. Hannah's breath caught. I know I ain't good at this, Elijah continued. I know I'm closed off and hard, and I don't say what I feel. But when I saw you standing there with Catherine spitting poison at you, something broke inside me. I couldn't let you face that alone. You didn't have to. Yeah, I did. He stood cross to her, knelt in front of her chair. Hannah, I spent 8 years building walls, telling myself I'd never love again, telling myself it wasn't worth the risk. He took her hands. Then you came along, with your limp and your pride and your stubborn refusal to quit, and you tore down every wall I had without even trying. Elijah, I love you, not because I have to, not because of some will or some arrangement. I love you because you're you, because you make me better, because when I'm with you, I remember what it feels like to hope. Tears streamed down Hannah's face. She didn't try to stop them. I love you too, she whispered. I've been scared to say it, scared it would ruin everything. But I do. I love you, Elijah. He kissed her. Gentle this time. Tender. A kiss that said everything words couldn't. When they pulled apart, Hannah was laughing through her tears. Look at us, two broken people who said they didn't want feelings. Turns out feelings had other plans. Elijah smiled. Actually smiled. I want to do this right, Hannah. No more business arrangement. No more pretending. I want you to be my wife for real, if you'll have me. I already said I do. Say it again. Hannah cupped his face in her hands. I do. I will. I'm yours, Elijah Thornton, for as long as you want me. Forever, then. Forever sounds good. He kissed her again, and this time, neither of them stopped. Morning brought a different kind of trouble. Lillian burst into the kitchen where Hannah was helping Rosa with breakfast. Her face was pale. She's gone. Hannah's blood went cold. Who's gone? Catherine. She's gone. Lillian's voice shook. But before she left, she went to the prison. Paid Marcus's bail. Nobody knows where they went. Hannah grabbed the table edge to steady herself. How do you know this? Billy Dawson. He came riding in 10 minutes ago, said he followed Catherine last night, saw everything. Elijah appeared in the doorway. What's happening? Marcus is out. Catherine sprung him. Elijah's face went hard. Where are they? Nobody knows, but Billy said... Lillian swallowed. Billy said he heard them talking. They're planning something. Something bad. What kind of something? He didn't hear the details, but they mentioned the ranch and Hannah's name. Hannah's hands were shaking. They're coming here. They won't get past the gate. Elijah turned to go. I'm riding to the sheriff. Rufus, gather the men. Nobody in or out without my say-so. What about me? Hannah asked. You stay here. Stay safe. Elijah. Please, Hannah. His voice cracked. I just got you. I can't lose you now. She nodded, hating it but understanding. Be careful. Always am. He was gone. Hannah stood in the kitchen, heart pounding, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It dropped 3 hours later. Lillian was the first to notice. Smoke, coming from the south pasture. Hannah ran to the window. Black smoke billowed on the horizon. Fire. The cattle, Rosa breathed. Oh God, the cattle. Hannah's mind raced. Fire in summer. Dry grass. It would spread fast. Too fast. Where's Rufus? South with the men, fighting it. And Elijah. still in town. Hannah grabbed her hat. I'm going. Mrs. Hannah, no. If that fire reaches the north pasture, we lose everything. The cattle, the barn, and the house. Hannah's jaw set. I ain't sitting here while everything burns. She rode hard. The smoke got thicker the closer she got. By the time she reached the south pasture, the whole horizon was orange. Rufus was there with a dozen men beating at the flames with wet blankets. Mrs. Thornton, you shouldn't be here. Where do you need me? It's too dangerous. Where? Rufus stared at her for a long moment. Then he pointed. East side. The wind's pushing it toward the barn. We need to cut a fire break. Hannah grabbed a shovel and ran. The work was brutal. Digging, cutting, clearing. Her legs screamed with every movement. She didn't care. Couldn't care. Everything they'd built was on the line. An hour passed. 2. The fire break held. The flames started to die down. Hannah leaned on her shovel, gasping for breath. They'd done it. They'd saved the ranch. Then she heard the gunshot. Rufus went down. Hannah screamed, dropped the shovel, ran toward him. A hand grabbed her from behind, yanked her back. Marcus Thornton's face swam into view. Soot-stained, wild-eyed, grinning. Thought you could beat me, didn't you? Let me go. Not a chance. He pressed something cold against her temple. A gun. This ends now, Mrs. Thornton. One way or another. The fire. You started it. Distraction. Gets everyone running one direction while I come from the other. Marcus laughed. Catherine's idea. She's smarter than she looks. Where is she? Waiting in town. When I'm done here, we disappear. New names, new lives. No one ever finds us. You won't get away with this. Watch me. Marcus's grip tightened. Now walk, toward the barn. We're gonna have a little conversation, you and me. Hannah walked. Her mind raced. Rufus was down. The men were still fighting the fire. Elijah was in town. Nobody was coming. She was on her own. The barn was empty. Dark. Marcus shoved her inside, kept the gun trained on her. You know what's funny? I never wanted any of this. The land, the money, the scheming. His voice cracked. I just wanted my cousin to respect me, to see me as an equal. But he never did, not once. So you stole from him. I took what was owed, what should have been mine from the start. Marcus's eyes were wild. Our grandfather loved Elijah, gave him everything. I got scraps, leftovers, nothing. That ain't my fault. No, but you're gonna pay for it anyway. Marcus raised the gun. Any last words? Hannah's heart pounded. This was it. This was how she died. Then a voice cut through the darkness. Put the gun down, Marcus. Lillian. Hannah's blood froze. Lillian, run. No. Lillian stepped into the barn. Her face was pale, but steady. I said put it down. Marcus laughed. Or what, you're 16 years old. What are you gonna do? I'm gonna do this. Lillian raised her hand. She was holding a rifle, one of the ranch rifles, pointed straight at Marcus. You think I won't shoot? Marcus sneered. I've got a gun to your stepmother's head. She ain't my stepmother. She's my family. Lillian's voice didn't waver. And I don't miss. Silence, heavy, deadly. Marcus's hand trembled. You're bluffing. Try me. A shot rang out. Marcus crumpled. The gun fell from his hand, but it wasn't Lillian who'd fired. Elijah stood in the barn doorway, his rifle smoking. His face was gray. Daddy, Lillian breathed. It's over. Elijah crossed to Hannah, pulled her into his arms. It's over. Hannah buried her face in his chest and wept. The sheriff came, took Marcus away wounded but alive. Catherine was arrested in town trying to flee on the afternoon stage. By nightfall, it was finally truly over. Hannah sat on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars. Her leg ached. Her whole body ached. but she was alive. Elijah sat beside her, took her hand. Rufus is gonna be fine. Bullet went clean through. Thank God. Lillian saved your life. I know. Hannah shook her head. She came out of nowhere, with that rifle, ready to fight for me. She loves you. She barely knows me. Doesn't matter, you're family. Elijah squeezed her hand. That's what family does. Hannah was quiet for a moment. What happens now? Now we rebuild. Fix what the fire damaged. Get the cattle back in order. Elijah paused. And maybe when things settle down, we have that wedding you deserve. A real one, with flowers and guests, and everyone knowing it's for love, not business. Hannah laughed, a wet, exhausted laugh. I already had my wedding. That wasn't a wedding. That was a transaction. Elijah turned to face her. I want to marry you again, Hannah, in front of God and everyone. I want them to see how much I love you. Elijah, say yes. Hannah looked at him, at this man who'd chosen her when no one else would, who'd fought for her, who'd killed for her. Yes, she whispered, 1,000 times yes. He kissed her, soft, sweet, full of promise. Somewhere in the house, Lillian was watching. Hannah could feel it, but she didn't mind. This was her family now. Broken, scarred, perfect, and nothing would ever take it away. The weeks after the fire were the hardest of Hannah's life. Not because of the work. She'd always known how to work. Not because of her leg, though it ached worse than ever after the night in the barn. Because she kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. Marcus was in prison. Catherine was in prison. The ranch was safe. Elijah loved her. Lillian was warming to her. Everything she'd ever wanted was right there in front of her. And she was terrified it would all disappear. You're doing it again. Hannah looked up. Lillian stood in the doorway of the study, arms crossed. Doing what? That thing where you stare at nothing and look like you're expecting the world to end. Hannah laughed despite herself. That obvious. Pretty much. Lillian crossed to the desk, sat on the edge. You know it's real, right, all of this? It ain't going away. How do you know? Because I know my daddy. He don't do nothing halfway. Lillian paused. And because I know you. You ain't the type to give up on something you fought this hard for. Hannah studied the girl. 16 years old, but old beyond her years. Scarred by loss, same as Hannah. Same as Elijah. When did you get so smart? Always been smart. Just been too angry to show it. Lillian's mouth curved. You taught me that. Anger don't fix nothing. Fighting does. I taught you that. You taught me a lot of things. Lillian's voice softened. Like how to keep going when everything hurts. Like how to be strong even when you don't feel strong. Like how family ain't just blood. It's choice. Hannah's eyes burned. Lillian. I ain't done. The girl slid off the desk, knelt in front of Hannah's chair. I hated you when you came here. Hated you for taking Mama's place. Hated you for making Daddy smile again. I know. But you didn't give up on me. Even when I threw vases and slammed doors and said terrible things, you just kept showing up, kept trying. Lillian's eyes were wet. That's what Mama would have done. That's what family does. Hannah pulled her into a hug, held her tight. I love you, Lillian. I know I ain't your mama. I ain't trying to be. But I love you like you're my own. I know. Lillian pulled back, wiping her eyes. I love you too. Don't tell Daddy I said that. His head's big enough already. Hannah laughed. A real laugh, deep and free. Your secret's safe with me. The wedding preparations started the next week. Hannah tried to keep it small. Simple. Just family and a few close friends. Elijah had other ideas. The whole town. Hannah stared at him. You want to invite the whole town? I want them to see. Every person who whispered about you. Every person who crossed the street to avoid you. I want them to watch you walk down that aisle and know they were wrong. That sounds like revenge. That sounds like justice. Elijah pulled her close. You deserve to be seen, Hannah, not as the crippled widow, not as the desperate woman who trapped a rich man, as my wife, as the woman I love, as the strongest person I know. Hannah's throat tightened. What if they don't come? They'll come. Curiosity, if nothing else. He kissed her forehead. And when they see you in that dress walking toward me, they'll finally understand what I've known since the moment I sat down next to you in that church. What's that? That you're worth everything, and I'm the luckiest man alive. Hannah couldn't speak, could only hold him and pray this feeling would never end. The dress arrived 3 days before the wedding. Lillian brought it up to Hannah's room, her face bright with excitement. Rosa's friend made it. The seamstress from Austin. Open it. Hannah's hands trembled as she lifted the lid. Inside was white silk. Real silk. The most beautiful fabric she'd ever touched. It's too much. It's perfect. Lillian pulled out the dress, held it up. Try it on. Hannah changed behind the screen. Her fingers fumbled with the buttons. When she stepped out, Lillian's face told her everything she needed to know. You look... Lillian's voice broke. You look beautiful. Hannah turned to the mirror. She'd avoided mirrors for years. Couldn't bear to see what the world saw when they looked at her. But the woman in the mirror wasn't the broken creature she'd imagined. She was standing straight despite her leg. Her face was lined but strong. Her eyes held something she hadn't seen in years. Hope. Real, unshakable hope. She'd be proud of you. Hannah turned. Lillian was crying silently. Your mama? Yeah. Lillian wiped her eyes. I used to think nobody could ever take her place. And you didn't. You made your own place, right next to hers. Hannah crossed to her, took her hands. I'm gonna be your stepmother in 3 days. Officially. I know. That means we're stuck with each other, for good. Lillian laughed through her tears. I think I can live with that. Me too. They held each other for a long moment. Two women who'd lost everything finding something new to hold on to. The morning of the wedding, Martha Cole came to the ranch. Hannah was in the kitchen with Rosa when Rufus appeared in the doorway. Got a visitor, ma'am. Says she needs to see you. Who? Your mother-in-law. Hannah's stomach dropped. She hadn't seen Martha since the day she'd walked out of the boarding house. Hadn't wanted to. Tell her I'm busy. She says it's important. Says she won't leave until you hear her out. Hannah looked at Rosa. Rosa's face was unreadable. Send her in. Martha looked older than Hannah remembered. Grayer. Smaller. She stood in the kitchen doorway, like she wasn't sure she belonged there. Hannah. Martha. I know I ain't welcome here. I know I don't deserve to be heard. Martha's voice shook. But I had to come. Before the wedding. Before it was too late. Too late for what? To apologize. The word hung in the air. Hannah couldn't have been more shocked if Martha had slapped her. You heard me right. Martha stepped forward. I blamed you for William's death. For 3 years I put every ounce of grief and rage onto your shoulders and watched you break under the weight. You did. And I was wrong. Martha's eyes filled with tears. William loved you, more than he ever loved anything in his life, and you loved him back. I saw it. Every day. But I was too broken to admit it. Why now? Why today of all days? Because Samuel came to see me. Martha's voice cracked. Told me what you did. How you saved this ranch. How you fought for Elijah and his daughter. How you stood up against Marcus and Catherine when everyone else would have run. She reached out, took Hannah's hands. Hannah didn't pull away. He said you're the strongest woman he's ever known. Stronger than me. Stronger than anyone. Martha swallowed. And I realized I'd been trying to destroy the one thing my son loved most in this world. And I almost succeeded. Martha, let me finish, please. Martha squeezed her hands. I ain't asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know I'm sorry. Sorry for every cruel word, every cold look, every moment I made you feel less than you are. Hannah's throat was tight. Why does it matter now? Because you're getting married today, starting a new life, and I didn't want you to carry my hate into it. Martha's voice broke. You deserve to be happy, Hannah. You always did. I was just too blind to see it. Hannah looked at this woman who had made her life hell for 3 years, who had called her cripple, who had told her she was worthless, unlovable, nothing. And she saw something she hadn't expected. Grief. Loss. A mother who had lost her son and didn't know how to survive it. I forgive you. Martha's face crumpled. You don't have to. I know I don't have to. I want to. Hannah squeezed her hands back. I spent 3 years hating myself because of what you said, believing I wasn't worth nothing, but I ain't that woman anymore, and I don't want to carry hate into my new life any more than you want me to. Martha wept, really wept, the sound of a woman finally letting go. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you. Hannah held her. For a long moment they just held each other. When Martha finally left, Hannah stood alone in the kitchen feeling lighter than she had in years. The church was full, every pew, every seat, people standing along the walls and spilling out the doors. The whole town had come just like Elijah said they would. Hannah stood at the back of the church, her hand on Samuel's arm. He'd agreed to walk her down the aisle when she'd asked. His face had crumpled with emotion. You sure you want me? You're the closest thing to family I got, besides Elijah and Lillian. I ain't been much of a family. You showed up when it mattered, that's enough. Now he stood beside her, steady and strong, ready to give her away. You ready? He asked. Hannah looked down the aisle. Elijah stood at the altar, dressed in black, his face unreadable. But his eyes were burning. I'm ready. The music started. Hannah took the first step. The whispers began immediately. She heard them same as always. Look at her, actually wearing white. That limp, poor thing. Can you believe he's actually marrying her again? Hannah kept walking. 1 step, 2. Her leg ached. She ignored it. Then something changed. An old woman in the front pew stood up. Mrs. Patterson, the woman who had refused to sell Hannah flour, who had called her a schemer and a fraud. She started clapping, slowly at first, then faster, then others joined her. The whole church erupted in applause. Hannah stopped, stared, didn't understand. Samuel leaned close. They see you now, Hannah. They finally see you. Hannah's vision blurred. She kept walking. When she reached the altar, Elijah took her hands. His were shaking. You came. Where else would I be? I was scared you'd run. I'm done running. Hannah squeezed his hands. I'm exactly where I belong. Reverend Matthews cleared his throat. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to witness the union of Elijah James Thornton and Hannah Marie Cole. Though they have been married before, they come today to renew their vows in the sight of God and this community, to declare publicly what they have known privately, that their love is real and it is forever. The ceremony was different this time. Not business, not transaction, real. When Reverend Matthews asked if anyone objected, the church was silent. When he asked if Elijah took Hannah to be his wife, Elijah's voice rang out clear and strong. I do, now and forever. When he asked if Hannah took Elijah to be her husband, Hannah didn't hesitate. I do, with everything I have. Then by the power vested in me, I pronounce you husband and wife. Reverend Matthews smiled. You may kiss the bride. Elijah pulled Hannah close, His lips met hers. The church erupted again. Applause, cheers, joy. When they broke apart, Hannah was crying, laughing, both at once. "We did it," she whispered. "We did." Elijah pressed his forehead to hers. "I love you, Hannah Thornton. I love you too. Forever. Forever." The reception was held at the ranch. Tables stretched across the yard. Music played. People danced. Hannah stood on the porch watching it all, hardly believing it was real. "Mrs. Thornton." She turned. Rufus stood behind her, his arm still in a sling from the gunshot wound. "Rufus, you should be resting." "Couldn't miss this." He came to stand beside her. "You did good, ma'am. Real good." "I had help. You had grit. That's what matters." Rufus was quiet for a moment. "I've worked for the Thorntons for 20 years. Watched Elijah's first wife come and go. Watched him close himself off after she died. Watched him become a shell. And now? Now he's alive again. Because of you." Rufus looked at her. "You gave him back his heart, Mrs. Thornton. That ain't nothing. That's everything." Hannah didn't trust her voice, just nodded. Rufus tipped his hat and walked away. Lillian found her an hour later. "Daddy's looking for you. Says it's time for the first dance." Hannah laughed. "I can barely walk, let alone dance." "He knows. Says he'll hold you up." Lillian grinned. "His words, not mine." Hannah let herself be led to the center of the yard. Elijah was waiting. "May I have this dance, Mrs. Thornton? You know my leg. I know everything about you, including that you're stubborn enough to try anything." He held out his hand. "Dance with me." Hannah took his hand. They danced, slowly, carefully. Elijah held her close, supporting her weight, making it look effortless. "You're good at this," Hannah murmured. "Had practice. 8 years of pretending to be okay." "You ain't pretending now." "No, I ain't." He pulled back to look at her. "Hannah, I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm scared." The word surprised her. "Of what?" "Of being this happy, of having this much to lose." His jaw tightened. "My first wife, I loved her. But it wasn't like this. It wasn't even close to this." "What was it like?" "It was safe, comfortable, good." He paused. "But you terrify me. Because I can't imagine my life without you. Can't imagine going back to who I was before. Can't imagine surviving if something happened to you." "Nothing's gonna happen to me. You don't know that." "No, but I know this." Hannah stopped dancing, looked up at him. "I spent 3 years thinking I wasn't worth loving, thinking I was damaged goods, thinking nobody would ever choose me." "Hannah, let me finish. You changed that. Not by saving me, not by fixing me, by seeing me, the real me. The broken parts and the strong parts and everything in between." Her voice cracked. "That's worth being scared for. That's worth everything." Elijah didn't speak, just kissed her, long and deep. When they finally pulled apart, the crowd was cheering again. The night wound down. Guests left. The music stopped. Hannah and Elijah sat on the porch, same as always. Their spot. Their place. "What are you thinking?" Elijah asked. "I'm thinking about how much has changed. 4 months ago, I was counting coins in a boarding house trying to figure out how to survive. Now I'm here, with you, with Lillian, with a family I never expected to have." Regrets. Not a one. Hannah leaned her head on his shoulder. "You. Just one." Hannah's heart skipped. "What?" "That I waited so long. That I spent years hiding from life instead of living it. That I almost let you slip away because I was too scared to feel again. But you didn't. You sat down next to me in that church. You chose me. Best choice I ever made. Elijah kissed her hair. I love you, Hannah. More than I ever thought I could love anyone again. More than I have words for. I love you too, and I ain't going anywhere. Not ever. Promise. Promise. They sat together in the quiet dark. Two broken people who had found each other. Two scarred hearts that had learned to beat again. Lillian appeared in the doorway. You two gonna sit out here all night? Maybe, Elijah said. Well, when you're done being romantic, there's cake left. Rosa saved you both a piece. We'll be in soon. Lillian smiled. A real smile. I'm glad you found each other. Both of you. So are we, Hannah said. Lillian went inside. The door closed softly behind her. She's gonna be okay, Hannah said. Yeah, she is. Elijah squeezed her hand. We all are. Hannah looked out at the land. Their land. Their home. The place she'd fought for and nearly died for, and would do it all again without hesitation. 4 months ago, she'd been nobody. A crippled widow, a charity case, a woman the town pitied and dismissed. Now, she was Hannah Thornton. Wife, mother, fighter, survivor. The richest man in Texas had walked into a church and looked past every beautiful woman to choose her. Not because she was perfect, not because she was easy, because she was strong, because she was real, because she was exactly what he needed, and he was exactly what she needed too. Ready to go inside? Elijah asked. Hannah stood, took his hand, ready for everything. They walked into their home together, into their future, into forever. And Hannah Thornton, the woman no cowboy wanted, finally understood the greatest truth of all. Scars don't make you broken. They make you a survivor. Love doesn't fix you. It finds you. And family isn't something you're born into. It's something you choose, something you fight for, something you build. She had fought. She had built. She had won. And she would never be invisible again.